And I genuinely want to know, where does that charisma come from? Where does that energy come from? Where does that boldness come from that you just seem to exude so naturally?
What a great question. And it's a very powerful way to start the conversation because charisma is one of those things that people commonly think either someone has or they don't. They see
Mm,
Amaro Schiavo up there talking with that energy, that voice, that laughter, right? That whole unique persona. And they say to themselves, I could never be that charismatic. I'm 72 years old and 5'3" and female, and my voice isn't that loud, or I'm shy and bashful, or I have a body build that people don't find as attractive, and people are going to look at me and make fun of me, or I have
mm,
all of these nervous tics, or whatever that is, and they're telling themselves a complete lie, a toxic myth. Charisma can be taught, it can be learned. Anyone who's determined to do it can become charismatic. I
mm,
spent years of my
mm.
life as the most boring, bureaucratic, monotonous speaker that there was. I worked for various New York City government agencies at an executive level for a long time. And I remember one time I was at a conference for this huge contract that an agency that I was one of the leaders at was letting out. And they put me up at this conference to sort of answer questions from the bidders. And after was over, my colleagues, as we were driving home, said, Scott, it was fascinating to listen to you. You were able to just deflect everything by sitting up there and droning on in such a boring way that was so dry and so dull they didn't even know how to respond, right? Like I answered every question deflecting anything that I didn't want to say by simply droning on and boring people to death, and I wasn't even trying. How did I become charismatic? I learned who and what I was inside, connected to it. I began to live it. I began to own it. I literally decided that I wanted to be a myth, a myth whose story was X, Y, or Z. And once that happens, your charisma naturally comes out. You're so connected to why you're alive that the energy, the flow, the words, they just come out. People pay attention whether you're trying or not.
So that resonates with me on multiple levels. And the first connection I wanted to make was, that's what we love to talk about here, because we're very growth oriented here, and it's one of our pillars, right? So we make efforts to make sure that people can understand that they can grow. They don't have to be trapped in the current situation that they're in. If you don't mind explaining for the audience, how did that process look like? Like, how did you learn about yourself? How did you go inside? And how did you draw out who you really were and start to really develop that charisma? Like, practically speaking, what did you do?
Three things.